Hey y'all, today we're going to make a couple of yummy recipes and then we're going to get this tree decorated. So we're going to start with some hot chocolate in the crock pot, and these are all the ingredients you're going to need. We're going to pour our 6 cups of milk in the crock pot, and then we're going to add 1.5 cups of heavy whipping cream, and then we are going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. That's a little 14-ounce can. Just going to get all that put in there. And then we're going to add 2 cups of semi-sweet chocolate chips. Now, I put these in a measuring cup, y'all, because I didn't realize that the bag was only 2 cups. So you don't have to measure them. Just dump the whole bag of chocolate chips in there. That's all you got to do. So once you get that in there, once you get the condensed milk in there, go ahead and whisk it up with my little baby whisk. I know y'all love my baby whisk. But get that mixed up and then splatter it all over yourself, the camera, the counter, you know. Get it all mixed up in there, y'all. And then pop your lid on there. And we are going to let this cook on low for about 2 hours. And you're just going to want to stir it about every 30 minutes, to make sure that chocolate is not stuck to the bottom. And that's it. It's super, super simple. And it's just a really rich, yeah, you can do the stuff in the packet if you want to. But this is just a yummy, rich hot chocolate that's just perfect, especially if you have a crowd of people coming over. And I got my little kitty cat cup there, y'all. I was going to use my other cup that says, if you can't make me skinny, please make my friends fat, but it didn't match. So I went with my little red and white cup there. And of course, you got to have marshmallows. Next up is yummy cinnamon rolls. Now, this is several steps. If you've ever made cinnamon rolls, it's a lot of ingredients and it's quite a few steps to get to where you're going. And this time I decided I would try to make it a little tad healthier, and I'm using monk fruit, powdered sugar, white sugar, and brown sugar. Now, let me show y'all where I made the first mistake. I left this in here so I could tell y'all about it. So I added my warm milk, and I'm going to put all the, ingredients, all the instructions down in the description box. So you're going to heat that milk up and you're going to add that to your bowl. And then you add a little teaspoon of sugar in there and mix it up. Well, I added the monk fruit sugar, right? And then you add your yeast and then you mix it all up. And then you're going to let it sit there and let your yeast rise for about 5 or 10 minutes. Or not let it rise, Lord of mercy. Let it, kind of foam up. So you're going to see the progression here of what this is supposed to be doing. And this is over a span of close to 10 minutes probably, because I kept thinking it's going to happen any minute now. It's going to happen any minute now. Well, y'all, it didn't happen. And I thought, Lord, my yeast is bad. So I tried it again and it still would not activate. So then I got to thinking, I was using that monk fruit sweetener, y'all, and I wondered if it was the monk fruit that was the problem. So I was like, okay, I got 1 packet of yeast left. So we're going to try this with regular sugar. And so here I am attempting it for the third time. Again, I make the mistakes so y'all don't have to. So you're going to put your warm milk in there. You're going to add, look, real granulated sugar, y'all, just for this step. Now, you can use the monk fruit in the rest of the recipe, but this 1 teaspoon needs to be regular sugar. At least it had to for me. Now, if that wasn't the problem, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it was just me. So once you get your milk and your sugar mixed together, you're going to mix your yeast in there. And then you're going to let it activate that yeast. And I did let this sit for about 10 minutes. And you can see right here, I've got it sped up so you can kind of see the process. You see how that yeast is bubbling up right there? That's what it's supposed to do. It did not do that the first two times. So I'm assuming that it was the sugar. I didn't look it up yet, y'all, but that had to be it because that was the only difference that I had. So once this yeast gets all activated, you're going to get all your ingredients mixed in. Now, this is going to be, like I said, y'all, this is a several step process because since they're yeast cinnamon rolls, we're going to have to let them rise a couple of times, right? So at this point, we've added our milk, our yeast, and our sugar. So now we're going to add the rest of the sugar. That's the rest of that's monk fruit sweetener. And then we're going to add our 2 eggs. And then we're going to add our, well, Lord, we might add 2 eggs, y'all. That egg didn't want to come out of there, did it? Then we're going to add a teaspoon and a half of salt. And then we're going to just go ahead and get that all whisked up because I wanted to make sure that those eggs, mixed up in there good before I added that warm butter to it. And you're going to need 6 tablespoons of butter just at room temperature. So just kind of let them sit out. And now at this point, I'm thinking I've made another mistake. Now, y'all, I've made cinnamon rolls like this before, but this is a different recipe because, again, I could not find my darn recipe, y'all. I don't know what happened to all my stuff. But it's one of those that I don't make very often, so I kind of need to look back at the recipe when I make it. But I couldn't find it, so I found one on the internet that sounded really close. And then I got to mixing. Y'all, look at that butter all clumped up in there. So then I had this bright idea because I still don't have my stand mixer, right? So I have my little hand mixer has these little tiny dough hooks on it. So I thought, you know what? We're going to give that a try and see if that works. Because I didn't want to like mix it with regular mixers because if you over mix it, then your cinnamon rolls are going to be all yucky. So anyway, I used my little dough hooks there and they worked pretty good. I just mixed everything up. And then I had to put my parchment paper down because that darn tile countertop, y'all, and I cannot stand that tile countertop. I'm going to have to get that fixed one of these days, get me something different. But anyway, so then you're going to just sprinkle you a little flour on your counter or your parchment paper, whatever you're using. And y'all, I don't know why I didn't get some tape and tape that darn parchment paper down because it slipped all over that counter. But you're just going to keep kneading this for about 10 minutes, y'all, and just add a little bit of flour. The recipe calls for 4 to 5 cups of flour. So in the recipe, I put 4 cups in and I put that other cup over to the side and I'm just pulling out of that when you see me sprinkling there. And it just says don't use no more than 5 cups. So I just, as I'm kneading, if it gets a little sticky, I just sprinkle a little bit more flour on there. And then you just keep on kneading, keep on kneading, keep on kneading. And it's gonna get not sticky eventually. And then you're going to need to get you a bowl. And I had some butter sitting over here extra. You can put oil in this, but since I had the butter sitting there, I just went ahead and used the butter. And just butter your bowl up or oil your bowl up, whichever route you decide to take. And then once you get that done, you're going to put your little dough ball over in that bowl. And then just kind of flip it around so that both sides of it get, that butter on it. Then you're going to cover it up. And we're going to do like we did with them biscuits we made the other day. We're going to cover it. We're going to turn the light on in the oven and just let it sit in the oven. Don't turn the oven on. Just let it sit in the oven. I let it sit in there for 2 hours. Then you're going to get it out. After it rises up, you're going to sprinkle your little flour down on your parchment paper again. And then we're going to roll this thing out. Now, try to get it if you can, try to get it in like a big rectangle because then, you won't have little weird ends when you roll it up to cut your cinnamon rolls. So I just floured it up good because, that rolling pin will stick to it, y'all, or it'll stick down to that darn parchment paper. But make sure your surface is floured because when you roll this out, if you get a little bit of that inside that might be a little tad sticky, it's going to be hard for you to roll these things up. So just make sure that you got your surface floured good enough where you're not sticking. Then I went to, I floured my little rolling pin. And then I went to trying to roll it, and there was me with that darn parchment paper again, just flying all over the countertop. So I was like, you know what? We're going to do something different. So I just rolled it with my hand like that and didn't use the doggone handles. So you just going to roll it out. It says till it's about a quarter of an inch thick. I think I rolled mine out a little bit too thin, y'all, but you know what? It worked anyway. It's fine. It turned out fine. So once you get your dough all rolled out, you're gonna take some softened butter, not melted, because you want it to kind of be, well, you'll see. So you're just gonna spread that all over that dough, except for that far edge up there. You see, I'm not putting none up there because that's gonna be, well, I put some, then I had to take it off. But that's the edge that you're gonna need it to stick to the other part when you roll it up. That's gonna be like your little last edge. So don't put nothing on that far edge. So then you're going to just sprinkle your brown sugar. Now, if you use regular brown sugar, it'll look a little bit different. This monk fruit brown sugar is real powdery. It's not like powdered sugar, but it's like real fine, like sand almost. It's not sticky like regular brown sugar kind of is. So you just going to cover it, and I'll put the measurements down there, but I just kind of eyeball it. You just kind of put your brown sugar on there, and then you sprinkle your cinnamon on the top. And then real carefully, you're going to roll this thing up and just kind of go from side to side so you'll stay kind of even. And then you see me just pressing that little edge over there. Then you're going to cut this into 12 pieces. Well, I ended up with a couple more than 12, but that's okay because you know what? We just had a couple more. So once you get these all cut up, grease that 9 by 13 pan, y'all. And then you're just going to put your cinnamon rolls in the 9 by 13 pan. Then we're going to cover it again. We're going to put it back in that oven that has the light on, but it's turned off. And we're going to let it rise for about another hour and 15 minutes. And then this is what they're going to look like. And then we're going to take that heavy whipping cream and we're going to pour that over the top. Y'all know there's a TikTok hack about this with canned cinnamon rolls. But anyway, but that's what we're going to do. We're just going to pour this heavy whipping cream over top of these cinnamon rolls. And then we are going to stick these in the oven and we're going to bake them at 350. If I didn't say that, make sure you had preheated to 350, y'all. And then you're going to bake them for 30 to 35 minutes. And I think I ended up baking mine for closer to the 35-minute mark. So while your rolls are in there baking, you're going to go ahead and mix up your filling. Now you're going to need 4 ounces of softened cream cheese. I just let mine sit out. And then you're going to need 4 tablespoons of softened butter. And then you're going to pretend like you're going to eyeball that doggone vanilla and just pour a half a gallon in there like I did. But that's okay. It doesn't make any difference. Just made it a little darker. And so little by little, you're going to add your powdered sugar. And you need a cup. And now it called for a cup and a half of powdered sugar. But y'all, I ended up with stuff left over. And I don't know if you're familiar with monk fruit, but it's a lot sweeter than sugar to me. Like you don't need as much of it. And look, y'all, I felt like this was a little bit thick. So I just kind of started adding just a little bit of milk, just a little touch of milk. I think I ended up adding probably a little less than a quarter of a cup because I just kind of wanted it a little thinner, like a regular icing. It was almost like cake icing. So once your cinnamon rolls come out of the oven, this is what they look like. And then you're just going to take your little ice in there while your cinnamon rolls are still hot, or at least warm. And you're just going to spread that out all over your cinnamon rolls. And like I said, you'll see in just a minute, I had quite a bit left over. But if I make this again and I use monk fruit, I'll probably use half the amount of monk fruit because I feel like they were a little bit sweet, but they were really good, y'all. And this is what they look like. Y'all, these things are really delicious. I had me one right there with my little cat cup full of hot cocoa. But now, if y'all want to, stick around. I am going to get to decorating this Christmas tree. And I just took all my fall stuff down, so I've got a blank slate. So don't think I live like that, looking like I have a prison cell with nothing in it, y'all. I took my fall stuff down.
Hey everybody, today I wanted to share with you decorating my living room. I'm also going to do a couple of other rooms in my house, but I'm not sure if I'm going to record those. I don't know if everybody wants to see all that. I may just show you some pictures of that later. But I just wanted to share my empty nest transformation. Okay, y'all, that is it. We have got the tree put up. Don't look at anything else. Don't look. Y'all just stay focused. Stay focused on the tree. Don't look at this and don't look at that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to it, I promise. I appreciate y'all coming and hanging out with me and humoring me in this video that I know is not the norm for me so far, but I really enjoyed it. And after all, this is Tales from an Empty Nest, and this is my empty nest, and this is my first time putting my Christmas tree up and decorating my house without either one of my kids being home. So I appreciate that y'all came and hung out with me for a little while. Thanks again, guys. I'll see y'all later.